Hey, what's up everybody? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and the next Reach review that I want to do today is the Series 6 Brute. He stands 7 1/8 inches tall roughly, so good size to him, as is normal for the McFarlane Brutes. He is an absolutely astonishingly well sculpted, well painted figure. And for the price tag, he's huge. He's got a good weight to him, probably about 1.5 pounds. Just definitely an amazing figure. If you look at the paint application, it's really just about flawless. I mean, you might see that little blue spot right in there on his torso, but a little tiny spot like that is easily overlooked. Everything else is just immaculate. Great dry brushing, great texturing. The sculpt and paint is phenomenal. The articulation is somewhat problematic, but we'll get into that in a second. Otherwise, he's just absolutely great. And in comparison, just so you can kind of see, there's the orange Hazop, and there's the Brute. Now, the Hazop's bent down just a little bit, but, I mean, there's his legs. But still, look at the size. And they cost the same price. Actually, since this is an exclusive, it was more. But either way, this guy is easily worth the money. Okay, let's talk about accessories. He comes with the helmet that comes off. Focus. Really cool. It's got the opening in the back. The eyes obviously are open. Nice sculpt work, nice paint work. Really nice piece. The head is done really well. He's got the little beady eyes, just like the Reach Brutes. I wish they did a little bit more with the eyes, because it's kind of just doesn't look as good as it could have, I think. His mouth does open. His jaw is just a little bit crooked. I don't know if that's just mine or not, but it's still okay, and it closes just fine, so I'm not going to complain. The head has articulation inside the neck. It's not like an Elite, it's not double. There's no articulation up here, it's just down there. But you can rotate it a little bit. The sculpt is somewhat cumbersome, so you're just really going to get a tiny amount of articulation. The forward and back is really the way to go. Shoulders, as you can see, have a ratcheted ball joint. The ratchet works pretty well, and they do rotate. Like I said before though, the sculpt does get in the way a little bit. It's pretty bulky, and then he's got these shoulder pads, which are soft enough, but not that soft. So you're not going to get a huge range of motion out of the shoulder. He's got a bicep swivel, which is just a cut joint, so it doesn't look the best, but it still looks good enough. I don't know why they don't just put a new ball joint in there like they do for the Spartans, but either way, it still looks good. He has a ratcheted elbow, which works just fine. The forearm rotation, which is really unnecessary, I think, because you can just line it up right and leave that and then rotate the wrist. But so the wrist is on a standard ball joint, so a little bit of a range of motion there and rotation. So I would just line this one up and leave it personally. You don't need to turn that. The torso can rotate pretty well, not a huge range of motion, but just a little bit of forward and back, but almost none, really. So it's pretty limited. The arms have the same articulation, even though this one has the big gauntlet thing on there. Otherwise, it's the same. The legs are on old school ball joints, just like some of the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, if you're familiar with those. Make sure you do rotate them properly, though, because the knee should be like this pinkish hue in the front. It should point forward, kind of. If you see what I mean, it's kind of slanted. So make sure you leave the knees where you want them. And then the knee joint is just like a Spartan. It's got the ball joint with the ratcheting, which works really well. It rotates in the thigh and in the shin. So he's got a great range of motion there. Both legs are the same as far as articulation goes, even though the sculpt, this one has the big armor piece on it. The ankle articulation is just like the wrist. It's just an old school ball joint. So it actually looks really nice. It's hidden very well. The feet are not flat, so that's a nice detail. It does make them a little bit trickier to stand up, but not too bad. So overall, it's a great looking figure. And I just realized I didn't show you what gun he came with, so let me do that. Comes with the Brute Spiker, which is done really well. I think it's the exact same sculpt as the one from Halo 3. Not positive, but I think it is. It's still done really well. It's painted nicely. Got this nice dry brushing worn effect. He does hold it fairly well. You can't get it around all 3 fingers, but if you put it in there just on the top 2 fingers, you can see he holds it just fine, and it does have a peg hole there to receive the weapon's peg. The only problem is there's no place on him to put it. I know he doesn't do that in the game, but still it would have been nice to give him a peg hole somewhere. But I guess this is just for if you wanted to give it to a Spartan or an Elite. He also comes with a plasma grenade, which also has no place to go on him, and he can't hold it very well. You could probably wedge it on his fingernail or something like that, but still it's just kind of, well, yeah, you can just have him hold it like that, I guess. So there you go. Looks like he's got a piece of gum or a jawbreaker or something. But there he is. There's the Halo Reach Series 6 Brute. Awesome, awesome figure. Highly recommended. Great detail, great sculpt, great paint, great everything. Articulation somewhat limited, but still better than most figures. So go get him if you can. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the rest of my reviews for the day. And in the meantime, keep collecting.